Hey guys, this is Mike and Meka with the Black Sheep Podcast. A lot of you guys have asked how you can support the show. A good way to do that is to click the Patreon link down below.
We want to keep bringing you quality conversations and a quality product. You all see everything that happens in front of the camera. What you don't see is everything that goes on behind the scenes to make this happen. So like Mike said, click the Patreon link down below. And again, tell your friends, follow, subscribe, share, and we'll see you guys next time.
Peace. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Black Sheep Podcast. It has actually been a minute. My name is Mike, for those of you who don't know us.
And I'm Meka.
And it's been a minute. As you can see, this is not the normal setup. Normally, we would have a nice big old background over here, but
we're under construction.
Things are under construction here, literally and metaphorically in our lives.
There's a lot going on.
There is a lot going on. What's been going on since the last time the Black Sheep world saw us?
Well, in a personal note, I just won an award. I'll talk about that. So yeah, I did just
a big ass trophy.
It's a heavy ass trophy.
And it's glass. That's not plastic?
No.
Okay, yeah.
But I won a humanitarian award. I was nominated back in 2019. Awards are supposed to be in 2020. Everybody knows what happened in 2020. And so came back around.
Trump lost the election?
Okay, yeah, that too. And went and picked it up this past weekend. And it was an award.
So that was an award. So what do you do for humanity? What caused you to win this award?
So as I was told, it was for my work in the community with the kids.
I don't know.
Look, there's the thing. When you get the call that you're being nominated for a humanitarian award, you're pretty much asking the same question.
Yeah, what I do?
What I do? All right, cool. And so it's an honor to be nominated, much less, you get the call that you win it. Yeah. And so my guy, we went to school together. He's a professor. And yeah, he told me like, hey man, you won, you're much deserved. And so I was honored to go and get it. I did not, again, when they gave it to me and I'm holding it, I was just like, this thing is
real.
Award.
That's when you look around, you're like, hey, do I got to do something for y'all? Like, I got to pay something for this, or are we good?
Man. And so now I'm forever a humanitarian. So
okay, that's good.
So that's been one of the things. What about
you? Man, just kind of wrapped up in work. What's up?
I was just raising up.
Being in kind of, the career I'm in and stuff, it really causes me to be hyper invested into like current events and things going on currently. There's a lot of shit going on currently.
Let's talk about it because, again, your job, for everyone who doesn't know, Mike's a journalist.
Thank you for saying that because the boys would give me shit if I would have said it, and I thought about saying it here and just, I'm a journalist, so I got to do.
I got you.
I chose my words wisely. You shot the shot for me, so thank you.
Today I'm PG Meka. Don't nobody know what that means. Anyway, yeah, man, you do a lot of work in the current. You do a lot of work in news, and there's been a lot of news going on.
Yeah, I think recently, so the biggest things that have kind of been on my attention. Number one, like the cases for, the Kyle Rittenhouse case, that case up in Wisconsin, I believe it is. Little young boy who shot up and killed a couple protesters. There's the case down in Georgia for the 3 killers of Ahmaud Arbery. That has been, I've been watching that daily, and it's really weird because these are 2 like national like spotlight cases, and they're happening simultaneously. Like, I'm watching one case and they go on recess or they take a break for the day, and I'm like, oh, let me just flip the channel to the other case, and normally these things happen like maybe once every couple of years for the country to see, but no, this shit's playing out like simultaneously. And, then there's the whole, another big one is what happened at Astro World down in Houston with Travis Scott and his fans. And my brother's I don't know if you know, but Tevin is like, every couple of years, like he'll find a new artist and he'll ride them hard. Like it was,
Go ahead.
Yep.
Continue.
Michael Jackson was a very big one. I mean, he's always loved Michael Jackson, Prince, but a while ago it was Migos.
Okay.
And now it's been Travis Scott. So
So let's take those piece by piece. Let's go to Kyle Rittenhouse, because I think with these trials, you are right in the sense that these are coming out of a flashpoint, of 2020 with, I guess Ahmaud Arbery it was started with Ahmaud Arbery when we were entering COVID and that news coming out. Yep. We had George Floyd, and then, we had a lot of stuff. And then toward the end, we had Kyle Rittenhouse, during those protests and stuff.
Yeah, I think Ahmaud Arbery was the beginning of 2020. I think it was like in February of 2020, which I didn't realize that it was so early in the year.
Earlier, but then we didn't find out until.
That's very true. That's right. Yeah, it took months. So imagine you as a black guy having the ability to chase someone down, shoot and kill them.
Go home, stay out of jail, not get charged or anything for months. Not even worried about it. Not even worried about it.
You're just going on living your life like, yeah, shit, that was last Thursday. For months go on, and the only reason you get in trouble is because people catch wind of that video and the world sees it and just goes, hold up, how the hell are these guys still out and not in trouble?
Which I don't know if anyone's ever really talked about the fact that the dude recorded it happening. How does that video get out? Is he bragging about it? Did he give it what?
Well, because they after they killed him, they called the making sure you weren't looking for us. They called the police and stuff. Hey, we've got a dead body, a dead N-word we just shot here, because a couple of the shooters did call him in the N-word, and I won't say that so we don't get demonetized. But someone's got to come get the body and do an investigation and stuff like that. And so, during that, and so the fact that police investigated it there at the jump in the beginning, and it talks about the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, GBI agents going and meeting with the guys and doing an investigation stuff, all during those months. I think it was 3, maybe 4 months before they got arrested and charged. That whole time they weren't in trouble or anything. They're just.
I'll say this much: I'm from Georgia, and the GBI has found themselves in a lot of different stuff for a lot of different cases.
Yes, Oklahoma is up there with in the incompetency and almost the racism at a lot of different levels in the state. Georgia is not very far behind. The more and more stuff I read about in the news and hear what's going on, it's Georgia and Oklahoma, we're kind of two birds of a feather.
So real quick, you tell me, what's the latest in the Ahmaud Arbery trial?
Well, we're not going to call it the Ahmaud Arbery trial. First and foremost. No, you're fine. And a lot of people do.
Thank you for that.
So the two guys, the father and son of the McMichaels, and then the guy with that Dumb and Dumber haircut who recorded the video, his last name is Bryan. So I think it's kind of like the McMichael/Bryan trial, or Bryan. Or I even sometimes will just say the killers of Ahmaud Arbery trial. But yeah, that just goes to a bigger, and it's not you, the media as a whole. Well, if it's a black guy that gets killed, it's the George Floyd trial or the Ahmaud Arbery trial. But if it was the black guy who did the killing, it's still a George Floyd trial or Ahmaud. So it's no, we're not gonna paint this by the black body. No, this is the McMichael and the Bryan trial. Those are the MFers who
it just came out so fluidly. So I appreciate you checking me on that.
No, for sure. And that's it's a conscious reconditioning that we have to do as a society. But yeah, those three are all on trial together, which is a really weird thing I've never seen before in my life, where 3 guys are charged with murder, of one person, and they all decided to do a joint trial. So
couldn't be me.
so imagine me and you on trial together with someone else, and we would just be a fool. We would just sit there laughing.
Oh, can you imagine you saying some incriminating stuff? Hey, that's him.
That wasn't me. I didn't do that, Judge. That was that mother effer.
Y'all up here together, so what he says is what you say.
All right.
What?
So yeah, all 3 of them are in trial right now. Literally, they're sitting at the big long desk, their attorneys and stuff like that. I'm pretty positive that they're going to be found guilty. There's no way, looking at the videos and stuff like that and just hearing the facts of the case, what happened, that they shouldn't be found guilty. Pretty sure they will. I think that case will wrap up next week. The Rittenhouse case, by the time of us recording this, both sides just rested their case. and they're going to give their closing arguments at the beginning of, in a couple days from now. And that case is a little bit more interesting to me. Racism kind of has shown its face in both cases. With the McMichaels&Bryan, I actually wrote an article the other day about it, where one of their defense lawyers came out talking about how we don't want any more black pastors in the courtroom with the family, kind of consoling the family, because these are public cases. They're at like the municipal courthouses, like in their city. Like, if there was something like this, a national thing happening, it would be at the Tulsa courthouse, and the public is allowed to go to those cases. And, of course, you got to abide by the rules of the court and all that kind of stuff. But at this one down in Georgia, the public they're allowed to be there. So the family is in the courtroom. The family of Ahmaud Arbery is in the courtroom watching the case. And you've got people, the pastor, like I believe it was
community members and people that want to just come and support the family.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think earlier in the week, Jesse Jackson might have been there, and then one of the defense lawyers brought up the fact that it was Al Sharpton, but of course everyone's masked because we're in a pandemic. Al Sharpton was there with the mother, and the defense lawyer, he tried to bring a motion to the judge saying, hey, like, I understand if they're, and I kind of want to direct quote him, I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. He said, I understand, like, if Jesse Jackson is the pastor, that's fine, but, they can only have so many pastors. We don't want any more black pastors in the courtroom coming in here trying to influence the jury. And when I heard that, I was like, okay, I got to write this real quick. And so when you hear it, you're just like, wait, what? Because no one in the court, no one in the public, you don't talk when you're, there are very strict rules when you're in a courtroom. They're all masked. Nobody, both lawyers went, and we didn't even realize, even the guy who was bringing the motion, defense attorney, was like, and we didn't know until after the fact. And so the judge was like, yeah, the fact that none of us knew that Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton was there with the family, that lets you know that they're abiding by the courtroom rules and it's fine. And I'm not going to, say that they can't have, like, members of the public can't be here.
But it just don't make sense to say black pastors
and that's the whole other issue. That's a pretty racist ass statement. Yeah,
like say. Right there is like, wait, what?
Yeah. So I love the fact that there are different pastors all across the country. Like, we're going to have 100 black pastors show up next week to be there for the family and stuff.
Did they meet the black pastor quota? Like, is there a thing that says you have to have a certain amount?
And so John Gray John Gray. I remember him. He posted saying something like, "Yo, maybe I need to drive down there." And I was like, "Okay, I might hit up Mike Todd and be like, hey, Mike, what are you gonna be there?" And so you kind of see and again, that's a defense attorney, like a lawyer he felt it comfortable enough to bring that up in a case to the judge. So that's what's kind of happening there. And then in the Rittenhouse case, man, this judge the way that the judge is acting in the Rittenhouse case, you would think that Rittenhouse, the little 17, I think he's 18 or maybe 19 now, you would think that boy is his damn grandchild, the way that he is acting in the case and arguing with the prosecution, like with the state trying to convict Rittenhouse. It is cringe as hell, for a lack of better words. That case is something that is pretty, oh yeah, appreciate you, Jess. That case is I'm not as optimistic for that one.
So one of the things I definitely saw was Kyle Rittenhouse's like emotional outburst.
Oh my God! Everybody say he broke down crying.
Yes.
Did you see a tear?
I did not.
No, and it was the ugliest cry I've ever seen in my life. I'll be honest. Like,
so, what were your thoughts when you saw that happen?
That number one, this is a really ugly cry because he's like hyperventilating, trying to breathe and stuff, and doing the full body. But again, number one, I didn't see any tears. Number two, it almost feels like the wrong place to have those emotions because if you remember, Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't arrested after he shot and killed someone. Literally walked towards the police with his gun that he just shot and killed someone with. Wasn't arrested or anything like that on the spot. Sure there was And, in the months afterwards, we see him at different bars taking pictures with Proud Boy members.
Yeah, I remember that.
A shirt that says "Free as F." And some people
Almost
are saying
taunting the justice system.
Right. Doing the white power hand signal. I hope you didn't get a picture of me doing the white power.
We've got an
incriminating photo.
Taking photos.
Right. But it's like, okay, so you kind of see how they're acting out in the real world, and it's like, wait, it doesn't seem as remorseful. But now that we're here at the case and stuff, I mean, and I get it. There probably is some level of trauma and PTSD for a 17-year-old. Even if you're an idiot and you made a mistake, like rewatching all the videos and stuff, like in a courtroom and knowing that, I mean, I just read, like, one of the charges that he's being charged for carries a minimum sentence of life in prison.
I mean, and being on stand and having all of that flooding you.
So knowing you're facing that,
you're gonna, if you don't have some kind of emotion toward that, there's something wrong.
But that emotion also should have been present in the past, not you almost capitalizing. I mean, I think you made, there was a GoFundMe. It was either over 100,000 or over 500,000, one of the two.
Either it was over 100,000, so you know that.
Right. So it was at least six figures that he got, support from people around the country, I mean, politicians, all this kind of stuff. And there was never any remorse. I mean, granted, he probably couldn't have said anything that much back then just because of the ongoing investigation. But, I don't think the public really saw that remorse from before. So
I think I'm definitely interested in the conversation that we have when everything is said and done, like to see where the chips fall.
Yeah.
Again, it'll be very interesting to see what direction we are going, especially coming out of where we were last year and just having all these flashpoints. These are going to be new flashpoints depending on like how these convictions go.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think either way. I mean, even like with remember the Derek Chauvin trial, everyone knew that it was going to be a marked moment in history, regardless of if he was found innocent or found guilty. It's just there would have been two very different reactions to that marked moment. But
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Just regarding Kyle Rittenhouse, again, he took 2 lives. 17. What would you like to see?
Well, I will say, in watching the case and keeping up with it, I honestly think he's probably going to be found innocent of the more serious crimes. The prosecution, I feel like, did a pretty crappy job in presenting the case. The witnesses that they brought to the stand did not help the prosecution's case at all, and it's like the prosecution's star witness, but yet it was almost a star witness for the defense. The way that the prosecution, I like the way the judge treated the prosecution in the case. I wanted to jump through and punch that judge in the face the entire case. So I think he'll probably get off. What would I like to see? I'd like to see him be held responsible for being a minor, having his mother drive him to a different state. With
another conversation that hasn't been happening, yeah.
With an AR-15, and in no world should a minor think that that's okay, or an adult think that's okay to what loving parent is going to drive your child into a scene like that? Yeah. The city was. I mean, there were protests and it wasn't a pretty scene. If you love your child a ton, are you going to go, hey, son, I'm going to drop you off. I'll come pick you up tomorrow. You'll be okay. So I want him to be held responsible. Do I think he should get the book thrown at him, life in prison or something like that? I mean, probably not. I don't believe in that type of justice system. I don't think that's restorative. I think it's punitive, which again, it's a whole nother conversation.
That's a different conversation, yeah.
But absolutely held responsible. So
I agree. I do want him to. I want him to be held responsible, and I want. It's weird because, again, we can't ignore the racial aspect to this whole thing, because if he were black, it'd be a whole different conversation. In fact, I'm sure that if he were black, all these different videos that I've seen of this hid would have already surfaced, him punching on that woman. There's stuff in his past that hasn't really just been
Oh yeah,
made
that's right.
highlight.
I forgot those videos came out of him punching that little girl.
It was a woman. It was a woman.
He punched a woman?
Yeah.
I thought he punched like a girl his age, like a classmate or something like that.
It looked like a woman to me in the video. But either way.
And that was before, you know, the Kenosha shooting.
Yeah.
And stuff. Yeah, that was because he was in high school. Again, he was 17.
I work with high schoolers, and I work with kids that have done worse. Like, not worse, but I mean have done stuff along the same lines. And I believe in restorative justice. I want people to be rehabbed. I also want people to be held responsible so they know, like, so they don't take things and be like, oh, I can do whatever I want. And I feel like our justice system has kind of told young white men that they can do it, like they can commit crimes and it's okay.
And you'll still be out for a few months. And, you know, if there's enough outrage, then we'll come back. We'll circle back around. I mean, in both these cases, they weren't, you know, these guys weren't in jail that night like the rest of us, like, you know, any other black, like, can you imagine a black kid shooting and killing two people, blowing off a third person's arm, walking towards a line of SWAT. I don't know why I almost pronounced it the way I did. Walking towards a line of SWAT police officers and them just going, hey, we need you to move to the side, dog. Meanwhile, you're walking towards them. You got your gun on your chest. It's probably smoking because it just went off. And it's like, wait, in no world, I mean, you try to get a black guy walking down the street exercising his constitutional right.
We've seen those videos.
He's gonna get stopped by police.
We've seen those things happen.
And so, yes, I mean, there is two very different Americas when it comes to black and white and dealing with like law enforcement and our justice system and all that kind of stuff. You mentioned rehab, and I brought up this article I just read, or this is gonna be a hard ass pivot, and I apologize. But I just saw this. Oh yeah, play. That's when you do a little. You're not doing it. I need you to.
He's talking to our producer.
Yeah, hard pivot. It's a weird pivot noise. I just read this thing. It says paralyzed mice walk again after gel is injected into their spinal cord.
That was a very hard pivot.
Yes, but when you said rehab, it made me think of this. It says a self-assembling gel that stimulates nerve regeneration has shown promise as a treatment for paralysis in mice. It's probably in some other country. It was a thing Joe Rogan shared, so take that with what you will. But it made me think, would you ever consider being like one of the first like human trials for something like that to help with paralysis, or even like an Elon Musk type, like put the chip in your brain and you kind of be one of the first people to try something out? Would you ever?
Good question.
Specifically for like the spinal cord stuff, not the Elon Musk thing.
I've thought about it because even after it was crazy. After my injury, you're like, just, in that aftermath, it's like, like, how do I get back on my feet? And so you're just like looking at everything. Mm-hmm. And I know that in the beginning, I was very much consumed with like trying to figure out what I was going to do to just get back to walking.
Yeah.
Overly consumed to the point where I couldn't do, like, it was like I was paralyzed because I was trying to not be paralyzed. Like, and so you come to a cross point where you're like, okay, at what point do I begin to live versus like waiting to live? And so I really was like, okay, I can live when I get back on my feet. And then it was like, hey, that's not living. Like, I can't just keep waiting. And so I decided, you know what? I'm not necessarily looking, but if something comes to me, I'm all in for it. Mm-hmm. Now, I don't know. Okay, the human trials or being the first, it depends on.
Mind you just took a vaccine.
So,
some people would say that was human trials.
And you know what? I'm not going to insult nobody. And so, I would say, depends on what. You trying to put a chip in my head? Not so much. I don't know. I've got friends that are actually doing stuff like this right now. Mm-hmm. They are doing testing in Kentucky, and they've got stimulators that are implanted in their back, and they are like doing this thing for 6-7 months and stuff. I would like to say that I would, if I were with them, I would be doing it, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Do you feel like that would like let's say you do the regenerative. Let's say you do the gel, and it works. Do you feel like that would kind of pull away a little bit from the mystique of a Meka knocker or the persona?
What? Bruh, no, that would, what? Oh, that'd take me to a whole new level.
If you are walking again?
My guy.
I feel like we've had this conversation before where in the past where you've said like,
Are we talking about if I did the gel back then? Or are you talking about right now? Because if I stand up out this chair right now, bro, hey, y'all can't tell me nothing. Nothing. Look, I'll change my whole brand from sitting to walking, back up again. Oh, I'll find something clever. Oh. Okay.
All right. Because I remember back before.
It's
all right.
Up
well,
and it's up. Okay. I'm back. I'm back, baby.
Well, all right. Well, that's good to know. I'll be on the lookout. I did just finish watching the show Friday Night Lights again. I know one of the episodes they drive down to Mexico and they try to get Street some surgery, some $10,000 surgery to walk in. So if I hear anything like that,
I actually have a friend that did that. They did stem cell stuff, and I mean, again, I stopped being so consumed with all the different treatments, and I was just more so like, all right, I'm gonna stay ready so I don't have to get ready for when something came out that I fit, like that. It was like, okay, we're looking for people that are this many years out
Nigerian,
from injury.
6'6",
specifically, right?
I think that will happen at some point in our lifetime. I think technology is an amazing freaking thing. Science is an amazing thing. And I feel like at some point during our lifetime, there are going to be, paralysis. I don't know if I would say the word would be cured, but there will be like a regenerative type, like, I think there's going to be things that can reverse paralysis and all that kind of stuff.
Christopher Reeve Foundation is working very hard to cure paralysis. Speaking of, I'll just say, like, the New York City Marathon just happened, and Christopher Reeve Foundation always has people running in it. I won't say my first time in New York, but I went a couple years ago to watch some friends run the marathon and some friends that were, paralyzed do the marathon. So I think it's going to be in my future to do the New York City Marathon.
Guess who will not be? I wouldn't. I love you, but
you ain't gonna push me.
You ain't gonna ask me to.
Come on, just
bro. I would die.
How many miles can I get out of you? 2, 3?
You can get a 2K out of me. 2, which is like 1.2 miles or something like that. Shit.
I got wheels, man. Just
look.
Take the downhill.
My ass, right. I'm gonna be pushing you. I'm gonna be hopping on the back like one of them. Was it Freak the Mighty? Was that the book when we were growing up?
I don't know why I thought about E.T., but that's definitely not E.T. That's the bike thing, but it's definitely not E.T.
Yeah,
I know what you're thinking about. I know what you're thinking.
There's like a big dude and a little guy hopped on. Yeah. You know what's crazy? Pivoting again. Pivot. I don't know why.
Huh? Where are you going?
I was going to talk about the OKC thing. So I was in and it kind of just comes to like self, like or inner reflection and things like that. I was at the OKC Thunder Arena a couple nights ago.
Yeah, that's a
hard flex. That's a hard flex, and
I get it. I get it for sure.
Sitting on the floor and stuff, courtside.
Keep
walking out onto the floor.
Oh, walking.
Of course.
Okay. Nice. That must be nice.
Of course, there wasn't a game going on, but I remember going out to center court. The Jumbotron from up above is kind of down because we're doing a presentation there on center court. So we're kind of using the screen from the Jumbotron. But I remember like going out to the middle of the center court and just looking around and literally and just looking at all of the seats. I mean, I don't know how the capacity of the Thunder Arena, but it's thousands of seats. And just realizing almost how daunting that is. It was daunting with them being completely empty. And I was trying to imagine what it must feel like or seem like with every single seat filled with screaming fans, either screaming for you and against you or against you. The emotions that must come in the moment. I was just, and I remember sitting there thinking, just like, yo, this is unreal. I don't know if, we grew up playing sports our whole lives. I'm sure we've both been in front of ruckus crowds and
and
packed places and things like that. It's wild. That, like a professional arenas, it's a level that I was like, I don't know if I could handle this. And, I love sports. Sports are my life. But, like, I was thinking, like, 99% of people probably could not, actually, I know, could not be in that atmosphere where, you're surrounded, almost like your life is, you're in the middle of a fishbowl. You're the fish. And just that outside pressure from everyone.
The energy is insane.
Unreal, man. I mean, I felt the energy and it was empty.
Yeah.
And it just got me thinking about, like, just having like that audience around you and stuff and what it must be like, and, why people either crack under pressure. A lot of people can't even handle the pressure.
So that's something I was going to say is, now think about the person that's sitting at home judging athletes, like, for a missed layup or a missed free throw. It's like, boo, like, you suck.
Right. All those things are, or even when athletes, like, let's say, like, athletes mess up, like, off the court, or people who have this, again, you're in a fishbowl, you're the person in the arena, and you have all of this outside voices and noise and opinions and things like that. And, like, let's say an athlete or a famous person messes up because they're human. Just the outside voices and trolls and things like that. And then I'm sure there have been times in my life where my younger me didn't understand as much now, kind of the pressure that they have and stuff. But yeah, the trolls for those people, it's like, yo, y'all, like, in one of my group conversations, I forget who we were talking about, but there was someone rich, like a Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs is an NFL player who, awful thing, driving while drunk, going 150 miles per hour in his Corvette in, I think it was Vegas, and crashed into the back of a car going like 120 miles per hour, killed the other young girl in the vehicle that he hit. I think she was like 23 or something. And, now he's in prison, probably going to get a pretty big, they're probably going to hit him with quite a few years in prison.
For sure.
But so in this moment, I was having this conversation with my boys. I'm like, of course, awful thing. I'm not giving Henry a pass for driving drunk or driving that fast. But I think it's easier for me as I get older and as we kind of realize what kind of goes into the life of the people in the spotlight and things like that. It's easier for me to have grace now for those people, or at least more grace for them. Because just understanding, let's say you're rich as hell, right? You're rich. You don't have any of the same concerns or worries that most people, like that 95% of people do who are like living check to check. I've got to worry about my bills getting paid, going to work, working at a job I don't like. That is consuming most people's life here. I mean, in America, especially with like the cost of things going up and all that. If I'm rich as hell, I'm going to bars on a Tuesday night, staying out till 2 a.m., trying to decide which person I want to go home with, what car I want, things like that. Like there's two completely different worlds. Yeah. And so what the average, a person doesn't understand is like, I would, and me and Jake were kind of talking about this. I try to never say never about myself. Like, I could never do what Henry Ruggs did. But it's like, man, if I'm rich as hell and I don't have a worry in the world about the current concerns that I have, if I'm not worrying about bills and stuff and my only concern is about, man, just what do I want to do for fun today? A lot of us will probably find ourselves in some pretty stupid situations where we're doing things that we...
So you're saying that you have grace because you can try to see it from his perspective,
because
right?
I just think that more than not, a lot of people, if you find yourself super rich and
also just remember that the majority of people that are listening to this are not super rich.
Right. So
you not super rich people, I know that it's hard to, like, I'm not super rich. I'm not even rich.
But I'm just saying, if we, let's say our wildest dreams come true where we win the lottery and stuff, and we no longer have any cares or concerns about the things that we did before, it's like, we're gonna make some stupid decisions. Some of y'all probably gonna do some hard drugs for the first time because
Okay,
I'm just saying, people will make like
when
given the opportunity, people
for sure.
People are going to make some stupid decisions that we don't
mistakes that aren't super rich.
Right, exactly. So imagine then having all the money in the world at your disposal and all the time in the world at your disposal because you no longer have to go work that 9 to 5 at Sam's Club. It's like,
so everything Mike just said is exactly why they're going to throw the book at him. Back to
at Henry Ruggs.
Yes.
Okay.
Look, who they gonna get to be his jury? Like not super rich people, like,
right?
Oh, word!
All these broke ass people gonna be sitting there just going, yeah.
So you ain't got shit to do. Just play football.
All right.
And you chose to go out and do. All right, bet. But I do want to go back to the man in the arena quote. The man in the arena because that did get me thinking about the man in the arena. And there's the famous quote that Theodore Roosevelt has that I would like to take a second to read because I do think that this is pertinent to a lot of us. But it starts with, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out the strong man, how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, who spends himself in worthy cause, who hey, stop, man. Stop, I'm reading. Man, I hate you.
Holy shit. I held
Who
this
at
together
the
for so
best
long.
knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. So, so that his place shall never be. Look, man. Look, stop it,
bro. I was really. It's a very long quote. I'm really shocked.
That's a reading from.
Yes, a passage. I'm really shocked that you offered up to do that on camera for the people.
Look, halfway through, I was like, "Am I in fifth grade right now reading it?" From
You know what it reminded me of? Is remember back in the day when you would have to do popcorn reading in school,
but
in elementary school. Yeah, the teacher would say, "Okay, you know this person. You can go read it. You read the first paragraph."
I'm about to use this right now. It ain't the critic who counts. Do you hear these guys? Did they offer up to read? No, I'm the guy in the arena reading, airing over and over again.
When we were in elementary
I'm the man
school,
in the arena, guys.
If I had to read the first paragraph, the next person I'm picking on, I'm picking on someone who's gonna stutter, who can't read. I'm picking on. That man got a stutter. Oh yeah, he's going next.
I just want the audience to know that I do have a master's degree and I can read.
And I did not go to college at all. I went for 1 year and flunked out.
But for what he does for a living is right.
But I would pick on the next dude, and I would just go, "I'm done reading. Meka," and it's just like,
Damn it.
That's what that just reminded me of. I'm proud of you for reading that. That is one of my favorite quotes.
Yes, let's get back to the quote because I do believe that when you were looking at athletes that are there doing the deed, doing the job,
or even not just athletes, right? Yeah, anyone in their arena who are willing to put themselves out there for public opinion and criticism on things. I mean, I'm finding that personally. I'm finding that in my own life more and more. The more I kind of put do my investigative journalism. You're about to say some shit right now. I feel like
no, you good. Go for it.
The more I, put my opinions out there on the web, or things I'm covering, or bring attention to certain things, even if I'm reporting on something that I don't interject any opinion at all in an article or whatever, there are still trolls who try and find a way to be like, "Oh, you're just blah, 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 this and that for covering this," or "That's not how it happened," or this. And I'm just like, yo, this isn't my opinion. I'm covering a piece when this is literally what took place and what happened.
I'm reporting news.
Right.
And they're like, it's fake news. Actually, what I was going to say is that, Mike let me read some of his hate mail. And,
we didn't talk about my hate mail on here?
We did not talk about your hate mail.
Oh, yeah.
Funny.
The hate mail I get for, almost every article I put out there, and hate emails, actually comments on the the actual thing that have to be removed because they're just so vile.
No, but I'm gonna say this. There was a lady that wrote out to Mike. Shout out to whoever this lady is, but she wrote to Mike.
I know you're watching. I know you're a fan.
She wrote an extensive
ECR.
Like, what's the ECR?
Remember back in school you had to write. Well, BCR was a brief constructed response. ECRs were like extended constructed response. They were like 3+ paragraphs about a subject.
I didn't pay enough attention
English
to school for that.
Okay. But yeah, you have a master's.
Yes. Look, I did what I had to do, but that ECR was not one of them. But this lady wrote an extensive, like, critical review of Mike. That's an ECR. And Mike responded back to her in a very polite way. And then it's crazy because it was so much vitriol that came out in the first email. And then your response back kind of lessened it, but you're still pissed.
Yeah.
And then they're having that conversation, and I'm like, so we're going to meet this lady for drinks or something like that?
Friends.
Because
I think about first email, I mean, she called me a bunch of names.
She called you a bunch of names.
All this and that. And I think one of the things I just simply asked her was like, what do you do for fun? Like, what brings you joy in life? Because for you to, and it wasn't, her email to me wasn't a reply email. She went and found my email on our website, created a new email, like composed a new email, had to go copy and paste my email address in there, write out a subject line, all that kind of stuff. And so like she put effort into this, and I'm just like, man, if that is what you're doing with your free time and stuff, like what?
And just so y'all know, what she does for fun, she does equestrian stuff because she did respond back. And
she said horse type stuff. Yeah. And I said, oh, wow, that could never be me because I'm afraid of horses. And
then that started this own conversation.
Yeah, but I'm just like, man. But again, I mean, we've all had I still to this day kind of have my troll moments. I bring out my troll moments, I think, in things that are more
trolls me every day.
Important and pertinent.
No, when I post a picture on Instagram, I can expect that there's going to be a troll message, troll comment from
More so I enjoy trolling our governor.
He does that in a very good way.
Yeah. But, it's more so like politicians who are acting reckless.
Jackson Laymeyer.
Oh, can we?
We can move. We can save that for another conversation.
Yeah, as we heat up towards the midterms and things like that and Senate races, because I'm going to do an expose on that man and just the Christian church and how it is in bed with Christian nationalism and that's going to be an entire episode.
That term,
it's Christian nationalism.
So
y'all stay tuned for that because that's going to come at some point.
Hand in hand.
But yeah, man, yes, with the whole man in arena thing, like I'm just learning it more and more in my life personally, and just how I think when you realize that I think it gives you kind of I'm able to give grace more to other people. At least I try to. I mean, I'm not always perfect and I don't always get it right. But it helps me understand other people. That spotlight is a bitch. If you're in the public eye and stuff, and people are analyzing your every move and your every word, and looking to watch, like waiting for you to fail and hoping on your downfall and things like that. Like, not many people are going to, like, all of that pressure. Not many people are going to be able to withstand that pressure for an extended period of time. I mean, we're humans. We all mess up and things like that. And it's when we were younger, I think we all wanted to be famous, rich and famous and things like that.
Yeah, and
the older I get now, I'm just like, I want to live comfortably and I want to have an impact and leave a legacy and things like that. I don't know if I don't really want the world-renowned fame anymore. Like, I don't know if I want to be Anderson Cooper.
I'll just be honest too. Like for me, even after like the Ellen show coming back and having more eyes, that there's like a responsibility that comes with that people don't think about. Like, fame is not, and I'm talking about like low level fame. Yeah. Like it's like there's pressure. Like, there is a lot of pressure that we don't think about when we're young because we just see the lights and the action, lights, cameras and stuff like that.
Yeah, so, man, you got to watch how you carry yourself around here in Tulsa. Like, you go to the bars and things like that. You better, you're amazing at Meka, so you got to.
To see a kid, Mr. Meka, if I just zoom past him, here comes an expose, a hit piece. Amazing Meka, amazing asshole.
F them kids, dog.
Hey, but let's wrap up because I got stuff I got to do. Oh, wow. So let me ask you, as we wrap up, what hill are you willing to die on?
Because you know what? We did not do that in episode 2.
I actually know what hill you're willing to die on. In fact, can I take this one away?
I mean, you can try. I'm going to say my own hill, but yeah.
Okay, well, I was going to say the hill that we were willing to die on, as a unit is, fighting against the
What was that?
Julius Jones
Death penalty. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, absolutely. Yeah. So right now we're at a spot where the governors, and mostly what I troll him for right now is not even troll, but kind of just joining the chorus of the supporters and the family and friends of Julius Jones, who has been on death row for the past 22 years, who has been twice recommended by the Pardon and Parole Board that Governor Kevin Stitt has pretty much appointed and put in place. The majority of the people on the Pardon and Parole Board are appointees from Kevin Stitt, and they have twice recommended commutation and clemency for Julius Jones, which essentially means that they recommended him get off death row and either change his sentence to life in prison with the possibility of parole, or recommending clemency altogether, which saying like time served, leave prison, essentially saying like your trial and the trial that happened 22 years ago, there were either some discrepancies or it wasn't a fair trial. We're reviewing all of this stuff now in 2021 and realizing that we kind of made a mistake as a state. Julius Jones is the first person in Oklahoma to receive that recommendation from the Pardon and Parole Board, and he's black, which is historic because most black men on death row do not end up dying on death row in our country, and and it always according to, I believe, the Equal Justice Initiative, that at least 4% of people on death row are completely innocent, and 1 out of every 10 death row inmates are later exonerated for which essentially means that either evidence has come out that they were innocent after the fact, either after they're killed, unfortunately, that they were either innocent or there was a mistrial or something happened. So like 10% of every death row inmates are later exonerated, which
I want to talk more about that in a later episode. But
absolutely.
Sure.
But yes, that is the hill 100% willing to die on, that death row number 1 should be abolished, I believe, in all of America. It's 2021. We need to move away from a punitive justice system and more to a restorative. But crime pays here in America, in the sense of criminal punishment pays is what I should say. But abolish the death penalty, but starting much quicker and much sooner. Governor Stitt following his Pardon and Parole Board's recommendation.
If you're in Oklahoma listening to this, please text the governor, send a message. We support.
And we are going to try to. I mean, Julius Jones is set to be executed within 7 days. So we'll try and pump out this episode quickly before then to help do what we can. But yeah, that's been consuming me for the past months. So yeah, I mean that's where I'm at. That's the hill we're gonna die on, and I will fight against the death penalty to anyone. Yeah. So yeah, but good talk. Peoples. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for following along with us. Be sure to share this episode with all your friends, family, like it, and hit us up. I mean, we've got an email address. I believe it's blacksheeppod or something like, email. If you ever have any questions or topics maybe that you want us to cover, or
questions for any of us.
Questions, if you want to be on the show, any of that, hit us up. But we appreciate you guys tuning in.
And we'll see you next time.
We'll holler at y'all later. Later.